Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the channel. We are in the car, which means we have seen yet another new movie. The new movie that we saw this evening was none other than the action comedy cop movie, Bad Boys 4, Ride or Die, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. With me, of course, is DJ. DJ, what did you think of Bad Boys 4? 1 to 10.
I give it an 8.5.
8.5. Bold. Very bold. I'm fluctuating between like a 6 and a 7. I'll go ahead. I'll bump it up to a 7. It's a solid film. It's not super great. Personally, I think that as inventive and awesome as the cinematography is, like the shots in this movie are absolutely fantastic. Fight choreography and all this stuff is really good. I think that the film, unfortunately, suffers from the fact that it is extremely stereotypical. It is a very base-bone, stereotypical cop movie with a lot of really annoying tropes.
That's actually part of the reason why I liked it, because the Bad Boys franchise, that's always what it's been. It rarely deviates from that. Yeah. Like, the person, it never really hides, like, who the bad guy is in these films. Like, in every single one, you know who the bad guy is, and even if there's a trick with, like, every single one has like somebody who betrays somebody, you see it come, like they foreshadow the heck out of it. Like, they make it really clear. I think that's because these movies aren't designed to be thrillers.
Well, no, and I'm not criticizing it because of the twist.
No.
I'm criticizing it because it is.
But that's right.
Yeah.
But that's what the tropes. It's meant to be safe. Like, these films they've been made the exact same way like 4 times in a row. It's cops go after bad guy turns on them, kidnaps somebody they love, they get, what makes these films fun is the
dialogue and the dynamic between
the two main characters. Yeah. Yes,
that's really good. That's part of the reason that I was
Weapon's the same way. Yeah. It's the same way with it's like it's the buddy cop film, you know. It's like where the two partners or friends that are cops just making it through what they're doing with the craziest of, but it's always over the top stakes in the background. It's like they're just like normal people with normal everyday problems. Like, every one of these films, they have like a family member there's a marriage going on, or, you know, there's all that happening, kids being born and all this happening, and it's just hilarious to me because, like, that's all going on while there's like explosions of grandeur, helicopters going. It's like the Fast and the Furious happening behind like Baby's Day Out.
Pretty much.
That's what makes these films fun. Is like they're just the absurdity.
Well, yeah, and it's fun. It's a solid film. That's why I'm like, a 7. I'm comfortable with the 7.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's just not necessarily. It feels kind of tried. Just like it feels kind of tired.
It feels trite.
Trite and tired. It feels a little tired is the thing.
I think the reason I enjoyed it so much and maybe rate it higher is because it's been so long since I've had one of these. Just like simple. Everybody's trying so hard to be different that they're doing weird things, and I was like, I don't mind weird, different, but sometimes I just want stereotypical. Well, when you have enough twists and weird stuff, sometimes the obvious twist is the twist. Like, part of me was actually expecting like certain people to be the bad guys, the traitor, and then when it wasn't, I was like, okay, like, I'm okay with that, because it's like the red herring becomes this stereotypical thing, and sometimes you follow on movies like this and you got it all figured out in your head, and they throw that, hammer wrench twist, but sometimes it doesn't feel earned. I don't know. Some of the films I've even seen last year, where they had good twists, you think about it too much, you're like, now wait a minute. Like the Hans twist in Frozen, like that doesn't. Yeah, where it's like you don't see it coming, not because it was a good twist, because it doesn't make any sense. This film just kind of does it safe. And I don't have a problem with that, but my actual big rating down is actually because I don't think they don't give enough time for the characters early on to like reestablish themselves. It's been 4 years, I think this last movie, and it was 12 years. It's the one before that, 10 years, something like that.
Oh, it was a long time, yeah.
Yeah, Bad Boys 2 came out like 90 something, I think, or 2000.
It was like 2005.
Yeah, and then so it'd been a while, and so this is kind of like reestablishing, which is another fun thing that we've seen a lot of movies do recently, where they're like reviving franchises without rebooting them.
Yeah.
Which is a little more fun than a reboot, because you get the original characters, you get to see their story later on in life.
Well, yeah, it's like Scream.
Yeah.
Scream's a continuing franchise, but
yep. Scream did
still
it.
have the original cast.
They did it with Mission Impossible, where they had the 3, and then for a long time, then they did another trilogy, and now they're doing another one even a little bit after that. They did it with Ghostbusters, where they did one way after the originals, but it's a continuation. This follows along with that, where they're taking some of these older films and then bringing new life into them. That's kind of fun, but that does go with your thing a little bit, where it gets a little tropey or tired. Because, it's fresh, but is it? I get that.
It's fresh because people have tried to subvert it for so long, and that it's going back to all these things. But we're in a culture too now that makes fun of the rehashed stuff so much that you become so hyper aware of it that it actually affects how you view the film.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the things I have to admit, is that some of these films, they're fun and they're really great. If it had come out 20 years ago, I probably would have been like, man, this is like an 8, it's a 9, the comedy's amazing, the dialogue's witty, and oh my gosh, it's just high octane and action pieces. But
it's been done 75,000 times already.
It's been done 75,000 times. It's been done 3 times with this specific franchise. And
that's, I think, what hurts the most, is that Bad Boys has done it internally a bit. And that's where my points hit down on it, is because this film is, if you like Bad Boys, you'll probably like this film, but it's not doing anything the other ones haven't already done.
Right. It is very fun. It's very solidly made. Like I said, the cinematography is actually, I was very impressed.
It was good.
Because it's really thought out.
The practical effects, there were amazingly well done pyrotechnics. There were some scenes in this film where they're like gang violence and shooting on the streets and stuff are going on, and it looks like a real firefight. Like, there's ricochets. There was even a couple times of friendly fire. Like, there's one moment where a gang leader shoots a bullet and it bounces off the van and it hits one of his own guys. Like, it was really well thought out, like, and played out in these mini little boxes of skirmishes that happened throughout the film.
And also the camera work was really well thought out. This is actually the exact opposite issue that we had with Speed 2 that we just did for Curb Stomp. With Speed 2, they didn't think out the shot so much that they literally had to have like 20 different cameras running at the same time to get the different shots. This film has a dynamic camera, and they're moving the camera through the scene almost as if when you're making a movie, you know where everything's supposed to be, so you can plan where your camera is to make it look the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if this is an art form of some sort.
This is an example of one of those films that, as a film, is exceptionally well technically done.
Yeah.
It just does what everything else does. Now, that's a little unfair to it to a point, because films have been made for 100 years. Original material is just hard to create. I get it. But sometimes a story, there's people that may watch this and the one before it that don't know that from the original ones. And the one that came before this had a little bit more originality to the story of these guys than this one did. Also, Treads, that's another thing about this film, is it takes a lot from the one before it and continues that, which is cool, but at the same time, because of that, characters that have already kind of really had their moment to shine are now just kind of being dragged along for the plot.
Yeah.
Is the problem there. But again, it's not bad. It is kind of neat to give, a lot of times in films like Bad Boys and other ones, you get characters that are really interesting and they never show up ever again. So it was kind of cool to see some people come back from previous films and actually get some time to shine.
Well, that and also like all the references and stuff in the background were actually really cool. Like they have, you know, the cameos from a lot of these different people.
Yes, it comes back to the first film. The bad guy they fought in the first film, like, is even like mentioned in the background, and it doesn't matter really to the plot very much. It kind of does, but mostly it's just there in a really clever way. It doesn't feel cheap that it was put in there. It feels like it was put in there for us, the audience. I mean, it was. Yeah. But they use it in a way that makes sense. That was kind of cool, that kind of stuff. I enjoyed the callbacks to previous films, especially the older two, and the continuation of the previous one. So it was just a fun little ride. Yeah, it was a fun ride.
Overall, if you like Bad Boys, you really will like this in the theater. I think that there is some benefit to watching it in the theater.
I think just cinematography.
Because the cinematography is fantastic and it looks gorgeous on the screen. The sound work is pretty good. They have a couple of moments that I think were really, really well done as far as the sound, like hinting back to previous songs, hinting back to previous plot points. They have a couple of noise bites come in at the right times. Overall, I think it is a good movie to see in the theaters. So if you are going to see it in the theaters. Otherwise, at least it's worth a rent at the very least.
Yeah.
Other things that we recommend that you like this video. If you liked it, let us know your thoughts about Bad Boys, the franchise, or upcoming summer blockbusters in the comments below. Which ones are you looking forward to? Which ones do you want us to see? And we're always open to your guys' feedback, so please put that in the comments below. Otherwise, subscribe if you haven't already. We do a new movie review every weekend, and we also watch bad movies, old movies, and we just like talking about movies in general. So if that interests you, please subscribe, share us with your friends. Otherwise, we will move into the spoilers. Spoilers.
Don't do it, John. I don't want to hear it.
I cannot believe that it turns out that the entire time this has all been some sort of psychic break and panic attack from Will Smith's character, and Marcus has been dead the entire time, and he's just following him around like some sort of twisted inner voice demon thing.
Oh my gosh. Mike is like, I hear Marcus, he's alive.
That's why he can't die.
There was actually a moment in this film that I thought they were gonna do something like that. So okay, so first off, like the trippy so Marcus dies at Mike's wedding.
It does. From a heart attack.
From a heart attack.
Of all things.
Dies. The movie literally starts out with him rushing to the wedding, and it doesn't say that's what happening, but you know he's in a tux, you know that's what's happening, you know what it is, and the opening scene is just beautiful. He goes in, and he says, I gotta stop and get a ginger ale.
I'm gonna be sick.
And goes in, gets the ginger ale, then sees Skittles, gets Skittles, tears them, starts eating them as he's going to the counter, and then sees the hot dog on the counter. Is like, are these fresh? The guy goes, I put them on yesterday. And you're just like,
he goes, perfect.
And he's like, give me that one. And then the store gets robbed. That whole scene is just glorious. And it's a great way to open it up.
Well, and it also just reintroduces their dynamic. It shows them being comfortable with each other. The dialogue is amazing. The comedy bits are good. It's a little bit of slapstick. It's very well put together.
Yeah.
But so he rushes to the wedding, and then after the wedding, when he's dancing, he just has like a Widowmaker heart attack. And it has a trippy scene where it's like,
he's like going like the afterlife. He like sees his past lives and stuff, right. And then like the captain like whispers something to him, but it's trippy, but it's really fun. And then for the rest of the film, he's like lost all of, because throughout every film he's like kind of cowardly. He's always worried about him like things. Yeah. He's like, he don't care no more. He's like,
I
on the edge
die.
of the building. He's like, I can't die.
Fate has spoken.
It's not my time. It's not my time. And then he starts saying like just weird stuff like, Mike, you used to be a donkey in a past life.
And I was your owner. And I hated you because you were a stubborn ass.
You were stubborn, but I wasn't a good owner. I beat you. It's like,
I'm so sorry.
What the freaking crap? Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
No, and then he's talking about souls. He's like, I have a more mature soul than you. You're like a baby soul. But it's like all of the humor bits just work really, really well. It's off of this like near-death experience. And then the only thing that breaks him from this like I cannot die thing is he sees the tree from his death scene. And he's like, oh no, I've been here before. So he starts getting cowardly again.
Well, yeah, because he realizes that's the point. Like, that's the point. He's like, oh,
that's
crap.
the point. He doesn't know.
It's like, oh no.
This is where I was before. Oh no.
When he walks in the street. Or the one guy when he puts the gun up on him and then he gets shot. And he's like, did you shoot that guy? It's like, I don't think so. I was like, he's not even sure. What the heck? Oh man, it was wild. There was a lot of callbacks to like other characters from other previous films. Like, so one of the I talked about a little bit earlier. One of the plot points was like, so the ammo team, the ammo.
That's ammo.
Ammo. The team that they're in charge of now from the previous film, they like doing this whole high-tech, forensic search, trying to find out who the captain was framed by and everything. And they find out it turns back to their old case, and it's the first case that they were on from the first Bad Boys film.
Right.
And that's like super important to the plot. And then it turns out like from the second one, some of the drug stuff that was going on was actually endorsed, and then the previous film is heavily featured in this one.
Right.
Armando is a main character in this as well, but he's working with his dad to help take care of everything, and he's trying to turn around from his, that was actually something that was really cool, like seeing a character that was like a villain from a previous film that was being used to get redemption. Because I think part of the problem I've seen in a lot of movies now is everybody can be redeemed or no, but like people, you see a lot of things like they want to redeem everybody, and there's just some people like his mom she couldn't be redeemed, like she was steadfast in her ways, but he had a chance because he was brainwashed. Right. And he gets some redemption in this one. There's a continuation of like the captain being dead, but he still has a lot to play in this. His daughter, his granddaughter. It's a lot of that's another thing I like about Bad Boys in general.
It's about family.
Yeah, but it shows their daily lives as a family and the things that they go through and stuff. And it expands that with this one, with Mike and his new wife and his son and their relationship, and the captain's daughter and granddaughter, the Marcus's family. Just really, it's all interconnected in a really fun way, and not just in the way they work together, but in the plot. Like, the plot puts them in there in a very reasonable way. They're not shoehorned in. There's a lot of films that do this family taken as a hostage, like, oh, here we go again, but it's like forced. This one made perfect sense. They didn't go after, a lot of the films, they'll use that early on, or they'll make that a main plot point. It doesn't get brought in until way towards the end out of absolute desperation, which makes sense. Like, in a lot of films like this, they'll just kidnap right off the bat, and they're like, what? This one, there was strategy and everything involved up to that point, with like the bad guy, the villain, having true purpose. Like, there's a point where like we should just kill these cops, and he's like, no, that's gonna make this worse. Just
follow them.
Just watch them.
Yeah, watch them, follow them, see where they lead. Because the other thing is that we can tie up loose ends and get them at the same time.
Yeah, let them weed out all the loose ends, and we'll take them out for them.
Yeah, which, like, it's one of those things where the villain is actually smart, and
yes,
the terrifying part is that he is smart. The thing that sucks with the trope is that his information comes immediately after they run into two characters.
Yeah.
So the entire time they're running into two characters that are talking about these things, and they're the only people that they're talking to, and then something goes wrong. Literally, the second scene that the twist villain shows up in, I immediately was like,
yes,
that's the guy.
Same, but I think that was, part of the reason I rated this high is because I think I don't know. I think it was intentional. And it may have been an accident, but it just feels intentional because this series has gone on for so long that I think that was a test for the audience.
And
I think it was testing our trust.
Well,
Do we trust the character that he's known, the girlfriend? Do we think that she would have betrayed him, or is it this new guy?
Yeah, where you try to get the audience to overthink, and then you kind of repay them to be like, no, it's not that kind of movie, dude.
Well, not even just repaying. Like it's literally it's like a test for those who know the series.
Yeah.
It's almost like a litmus test. It's like what people do when they're trying to test someone if they're actually a real fan of something. Mm. It's like them going, oh, you think it might be her? It's obviously him. Like they're making it clear it's him. Like they're shoving it down your throat and being like, it's him, but we're giving you just enough that you can maybe give some doubt about her.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that I think with this kind of film,
there was a point I almost thought it was her.
Well, for a second I was like, but then it immediately kind of throws it out. And I'm like, yeah. But I think that sometimes films like this film does not really, it's never been about the mystery. It's never really been about the twist villain. You've kind of always known who the bad guy was. Sometimes there's connections that get you to doubt things. But I think with films like this, sometimes they do just throw the audience a bone. So that way, if a audience member doesn't really quite get it, it's kind of fun. If they kind of get it and they guess it, they feel rewarded because they're like, oh, I figured it out. But then some of us that have seen all these, like, we've seen a lot of movies like this and we're like, oh, obvious twist villain, we're not offended by it.
Right.
Because it's like, no, they were never hiding it.
Right. That was,
and it wasn't so critical that it was like, oh no, he had betrayed them. It's like, actually, if, like, the fact that they figured it out so quickly, they were just like, it wasn't offensive to us, where it was like, what a twist.
Which, and like I said, it's not a thriller. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be.
Well, it's not a mystery.
It's not a mystery thriller, right? It's not a mystery. It's not a thriller. It's just an action comedy film. So it's not trying. In previous Bad Boy films, like the first one, if I remember correctly, the bad guy was clear from the very beginning. Yeah. The second one, same thing. Like there wasn't really a twist villain, you know. Each one has had a slight twist to it. That's usually, there's an interpersonal connection with someone Mike knows. Mike is somehow related to the villain in every single one. Yeah. Either literally or figuratively. And the last one, he's literally related to them. And this one, it's his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend or husband. I don't actually know if they were married, but it's him. And then in the second one, it was... I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen those ones.
I think the second one also, it was like they were trying to say that there was something, and it was like somebody was clearly being framed too. That's the other thing too, is Bad Boys usually has this twist where it's like somebody's being framed,
right?
And it's up to the bad boys to figure it out.
That is actually a thing. So Mission Impossible has done this a lot, and this one's similar too. Where like every single Mission Impossible film, the team gets blamed for something that they didn't do. That is part of that is the trope that makes it what it is. And I think it's part of Bad Boys thing is too. It's like the bad guy is always related to Mike, and there's a betrayal of some kind. That is part of the film. It's of the series that always happens. It's kind of like that consistency thing. Yeah. That makes the films, a lot of series like this do, where they have that trope they hold on to, but they'll make slightly different things. But they never really make it that hard of a twist. It's never really a shocking revelation. Yeah. They reveal it to the obvious heavy-handedly throughout the whole film.
Well, and also just like, it's in the background too. Like if you're paying attention to what he's like doing in the background, it's like I said, it's very obvious. So it's like when people like us who have seen 1,000 of these movies are looking in the background, we're not offended by the ooh shock, because the entire time we're like, they're projecting it.
Yes, exactly. They're projecting it.
Yeah.
Right.
So if somebody's not as like into these kind of films, when it happens, like I said, it's like a cookie. Everybody likes cookies, even if they know it's coming.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I give it slightly higher score, I think, than you did, is because for you, I think that hit you a little hard. For me, I think it was intentional. It was specifically done by the creators to like test their bad boy knowledge. Like, do you know this?
Well,
that's what it felt like. I thought it was clever. I thought that was really clever. I thought it was a really clever meta like joke on itself. If I'm wrong and that was accidental and they were just being very tropey, then it probably deserves slightly less of a score. But I thought that was just a really clever internal joke on itself.
And that could be it too. Like, this film is pretty self-aware of what it is.
Yeah.
Without ever actually really acknowledging it. Like, that's kind of the nice part about the humor, is that it never really 100% acknowledges the fact that it's a comedy film. It acts like the characters have their own humor, but it's like humor out of stress. It's not...
Yes.
They're not going around like Abbott and Costello.
No, the humor is based out of their dynamic and the situations they find themselves in. Like, they're trying...
believable humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the time people will say to themselves or say to other people to make the bad situation not feel as bad.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he's slapping Mike, or Marcus is slapping Mike,
Oh, yeah.
and he keeps slapping him over and over and over again. And he's like, you're almost expecting Mike to like, cut it out, but no, he just keeps taking it because he knows he needs it.
Yeah.
And that's...
Because they know how to play off of
They
each other.
know how to play off each other.
Yeah.
It would actually have ruined the film for me if he had been like, cut it out, because that's not him. He knows that he has only good intentions towards him.
And yeah, like, Marcus has the best intentions towards him, and Mike has the best intentions towards Marcus. Like, they have this really good dynamic, and it feels very natural. And that's the nice thing, is that these actors have very good chemistry. There doesn't really feel like any characters really added in, and if they are just added in for the sake of being added in, they're not in the film long enough for it to become apparent that they don't have that chemistry.
That was the one thing that hit me there, was the FBI guy.
The FBI guy is almost not in this film at all.
No.
And because if he was in it more, it actually would have made it worse.
I thought that he was put in to be a red herring, and then he doesn't show up for like the rest of the film. I was like, never mind.
Yeah, he's only the first third of the
film.
We
knew it was the other guy. I was starting to think that was actually what got me. So I know that the boyfriend, the politician guy, is the bad guy. Like, it for a long time. But what you don't know, and I think that's where the mystery really comes in, is how big that goes.
Yeah, how deep does it go?
How deep does it go?
Where's its connections?
Right.
Why does he connect it?
And actually, the twist in the film is that's it.
Yeah.
It's him. You think that this is going to be like deep and everyone's involved and it's all this, but it's just him.
And he's literally just CYA.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing, is he's just covering his own tracks.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cleverly done. Like, I actually liked that. Because a lot of films will do the conspiracy goes all the way to the top. But no, it's just him. And he was just trying to save himself. And he only had the one guy to go to because he was doing it on his own. Like, no one else was really involved.
Yeah. Overall, it's a solid film. That's why I gave it a 7. It's a solid film. It's just not that great. Even this year, like, this year has had better movies than last year. They're not great movies.
There's been a couple.
There's been a couple that are genuinely great films. But what I mean is, like, films nowadays are a lot weaker than they used to be.
On average, I would, yes, for sure. Like, especially the last, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're just... They don't make films anymore, I think, that... They don't feel like passion projects anymore. This one does.
And that's the thing,
This
too,
one feels like a passion project, which I think is part of what makes me feel more grand about it. Well, even though it's tropey and it's what we're used to,
they feel like they want to be there and tell that story.
And the actors feel like they want to be there. Like, this feels like a film where Mike and Marcus, Will Smith, and
Martin Lawrence.
Thank you, Martin Lawrence. Just wanted to do a film together again.
Yeah, and
they just missed hanging out, and they're like, hey, let's make another one.
And they already have their success, and they've already done a lot of stuff, so it's really just like a fun film. It feels kind of like how the Expendables did.
Yeah.
Like, Expendables 1, 2, and 3 all were really fun films. They were all really great. Everybody was just kind of involved. And it's a stupid movie and a tropey movie, but that's kind of what it's meant to be. 4 feels like a cash grab.
Yes.
It's awful.
Yes.
Whereas this one, at least, doesn't suffer how Expendables 4
That's
did.
what I actually expected from this one. I was
worried about that, too.
I was expecting this to be let's make another one because it made money. But I watched like, no, this is a film that they made because they wanted to.
Well, and also, if you know the people that are involved with it, none of them are really struggling. Like, Will Smith has his, personal issues, but financially, he's fine. And Martin Lawrence, he's a fairly successful guy too. Nobody involved in this film is like, yeah, let's grab money. It really just feels like, let's revisit these characters. There's still a story here. Let's finish it. And it could continue on, actually. They introduce enough characters that you're like, okay, could keep going. But
it's wild.
Overall, though, just fun film. We have talked about this film enough. I think 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I think we're good. Speaking of us being good, if you think we're good, give us a like. We live for the dopamine hit. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you for watching.